The third and final regional for the Winter Split for Europe has finally concluded, which means not only do we have our major teams, but also we're done for the split. We're trying to find our 5 teams that are going to the Winter Major in San Diego for DreamHack, but we already knew one of them, Karmine Corp, who continues to be dominant as ever. Quick recap for the third and final regional is going through our standard format. We have 4 groups of 4, 16 teams, all trying to see which one is going to be eliminated. They end up going home and placing 13th to 16th, while the rest then go into the final bracket. As you can see on your screen, pretty straightforward. K Corp, G1, Team Liquid, and Oxygen ended up being the ones that ended up persisting and going through. The biggest surprise being that G1 squad. Obviously, they had a lot of tiebreak scenarios against them when we were waiting to see what that was going to look like, but primarily a 3 in their group, not only against BDS, who had the most difficult time ever. You saw a short that I put out recently that enabled and kind of talked about if they don't do well this event, it is likely that, yes, statistically they can still do it in spring, but the reality is they may not even make it as a wild card spot. So there is a lot of things and a lot of determination from them, but primarily G1 was kind of the heroic underdog run that might be. We saw something similar in North America, which we'll talk about in another video. Focusing primarily on Group A, things went as expected, but the biggest surprise started literally in the first match, where we ended up seeing Solary, the French veterans of KDOP, Chazette, and Fairy Peak reverse sweep K Corp, who we thought was unbeatable at this point, who has made it to every single grand final of this split. So wild stuff from them, and across the board, more of that continued. Over in Group C, while we did see Team Liquid take the top dog spot, they are working on a new playstyle. If you guys haven't seen the Xperia interview we did, he talked about the implementation and a playstyle that he thinks is going to lead them to a top 4 performance, almost guaranteed at the major. Really exciting stuff from them as they continue to go 3-0, but in that group as well, some fights. You didn't see Team Vitality put up the best performance. We were wondering what the consistency was going to look like, as well as with Farah's interview, talking about the differences in what they're trying to accomplish, as well as the kick in the pants that they're getting from Zen, who is officially able to compete in spring. So you're looking to see teams provide that consistency, and unfortunately the team that took second place, I still can't pronounce their name. So the Fafax dot, I don't know what it is. I have no clue. It doesn't matter. They've only made 1 regional main event, and they have already removed one of their players, which we'll talk about in another video. So again, I don't know what you want from me. Final Group D, things consistent as well. Oxygen trying to find out how things are going to go with Rise, who is operating with a broken arm. He screwed that up while playing goalie, while playing football with his friends or something like that. Either way, didn't stop them 3-0. The other side's Quadrant trying to bounce back and show resiliency. That was the biggest thing from them. And then Sonics 0-3. Obviously had a phenomenal offseason in the G1 Invitational and not pulling through. As we get into the playoffs, a lot of fun head-to-head matches, but I would say everything was as expected in the results. The biggest surprise, though, is German Amigos and Team Vitality. German Amigos, the former EG team, trying to show their consistency, as we had essentially 5 teams fighting for major spots. As those teams punched their tickets into the top 8, the guarantees were already Team Liquid, who was going, Oxygen was going, K Corp was going, and then from there, we had 2 spots remaining. As we saw Vitality punch their ticket with their win 3 over German Amigos, they guaranteed their spot, so it was only up to 1. The playoff scenarios and stuff, as we covered in previous videos, basically states that depending on who ended up making it out of the quarterfinals, primarily between Team Liquid and Quadrant, was going to determine if Quadrant went or if we got to see German Amigos / G1. Crazy thing about G1 is they needed to get all the way to top 4, and a lot of people believed that Vitality had their number. Turns out when Dorito goes sicko mode, it doesn't matter for anybody else, and their defensive play was masterclass. Dorito carried them to victory with a 4-1 victory in that quarterfinal, which then secured their spot. And now I know from the staff in G1, they are scrambling to find a booth and boot camp and everything else that goes into a major. So congrats to G1, they made it, but they're going to be joined as well by K Corp, Oxygen, Team Liquid, and last but not least, Team Vitality, which is pretty crazy. The other crazy thing is, despite having a new playstyle for only 3 weeks, it was enough for Team Liquid to win not only and go to a grand finals victory against K Corp 4-3 in a nail biter of a match, but that is now 2 back-to-back regionals where they took second and first place. 2 grand finals appearances for Team Liquid. K Corp, though, obviously remaining dominant as they have 2 wins back-to-back and then the third and final. So they have made all 3 grand finals, and pretty impressive stuff because they set an all-time record, 6 grand finals in a row. That is unbelievable.